front door clicked open, and the sound, usually a comforting lullaby in the symphony of our home, hit my ears like a discordant note. Sarah was home later than usual. But that wasn't the jarring part. It was the smile. That bright, almost incandescent smile. The kind she usually reserved for anniversaries or the day we brought our puppy home. It was a mask. A carefully crafted facade that didn't quite reach her eyes. I was sitting at my desk in the study, the glow of my laptop screen illuminating the room with a soft blue light. I had spent the last 2 weeks meticulously planning, scripting, and building. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. It was the culmination of months of simmering doubts, fleeting glances at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, the late-night work calls, and the increasingly distant way she looked at me. It was a slow burn that had finally reached its inferno. "Hey," she said, her voice a little too cheerful, the pitch just a hair too high. "How was your day?" I looked up from my work, a carefully controlled neutral expression on my face. "It was fine. Quiet. Yours?" I kept my tone even, the years of practice hiding the bitterness that was threatening to boil over. "Oh, the usual. Just a lot." She walked over to the kitchen, the clinking of dishes and the sound of the refrigerator door opening echoing through the otherwise silent house. "A lot," she said, like the lot of a night spent with another man. I thought bitterly. I let her fuss around in the kitchen for a few minutes, the rhythmic sounds allowing me to steel myself for what was to come. This wasn't some melodramatic confrontation. I had moved past anger, past sadness. What I felt now was a cold, calculated resolve. I wanted her to understand the depth of her betrayal. I didn't want to scream or yell. I wanted her to see. After a few minutes, she came into the study, a glass of wine in her hand, her smile finally dimming a bit, replaced with a hint of nervousness. She was like a cornered animal, trying to assess the danger in front of her. "What you working on?" she asked, her eyes darting to the screen of my laptop. It was a question asked casually, but I knew she was wary. The website on my screen looked innocuous enough at a casual glance. It was my coding platform, a site that had seen me spend countless hours building the tool I was about to unleash. "Just a little project," I said, a small, almost imperceptible smile playing on my lips. "Something I've been meaning to finish for a while now." She leaned closer, peering at the screen. I could feel the tension emanating from her like heat from a fire. "What is it exactly?" I pushed my chair back from the desk, standing up slowly. "I think it's better if I show you." I walked around the desk, placing my hands lightly on her shoulders. She flinched slightly, my touch feeling foreign to her, I'm sure. It was a strange, surreal moment, like watching a movie of someone else's life. "Just sit down for a minute." I pulled her gently towards my chair, and she obliged. Her eyes were fixed on my face, a mixture of confusion and apprehension clouding their usual brightness. I took a step back, taking out a small, unassuming USB drive from my pocket. It was filled with data, the culmination of weeks of meticulous planning. I plugged it into the side of the laptop, and the screen flickered to a new display. What appeared was a website, not unlike many others, but with a singular, unique function. It was a meticulously crafted database, a digital monument to her infidelity. At the top, I had uploaded a series of photos. They were grainy and taken from a distance, but unmistakably of her. They were from the bar she had gone to last night, under the false pretenses of a work function, and they showed her, not at work, but laughing, touching, and kissing another man. But the photos weren't the heart of the display. It was the interactive timeline below that was the true masterpiece. Every phone call, every text message, every late-night outing that she'd claimed to be work-related over the past several months were recorded there. Each entry was meticulously time-stamped, cross-referenced with call logs and GPS data from her phone, and annotated with a brief summary of what I now knew to be lies. The first entry was a phone call, a short 2-minute conversation. It was the start of it all, a call she had made from our garage when she thought I was sleeping. It was innocuous, simply a call to arrange a lunch meeting with a client. But I had added a recording, extracted from the same location, the same time. The recording was not of her work call, but of her whispering to her supposed client about how she couldn't wait to see him. As her eyes scanned the screen, the blood drained from her face, and she stood frozen in terror. The smile, the false bravado, was gone, replaced by a look of sheer, unadulterated fear. She finally saw it for what it was, a meticulously documented, irrefutable record of her betrayal. I watched her, a ghost of my former self, the loving, trusting man she had so easily discarded. There was no pleasure in seeing her like this, just a deep, aching sadness. I wanted to scream, to yell, to lash out, but I just watched, letting the weight of her lies crush her slowly. She finally spoke, her voice a pathetic whisper. How did you? I simply pointed to the screen. It's all there, Sarah. Every lie, every betrayal, every secret you tried so hard to hide. It's laid bare for anyone to see. Quote, I had set up the website to be publicly accessible. It wasn't just me who was going to see this evidence of her betrayal. It was everyone, her friends, her family, her colleagues. It was going to ripple through her life like a tidal wave, leaving nothing untouched. No, she choked, her hand flying to her mouth. No, you can't do this. Please, I'm begging you. Tears were streaming down her face now, but I felt nothing. Her tears as empty as her promises had been. I had anticipated this, had even practiced the calm, measured response I was about to give. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of an outburst. I'm not the one who decided to do this, Sarah. I kept my voice low and controlled. You made your choices. You reaped the seeds you sowed. She lunged towards the laptop, her fingers scrabbling on the keyboard, desperate to shut it down, to make it disappear. I simply stepped back, out of her reach, a silent observer of her futile attempts to undo what she had done. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she cried, her voice breaking. I didn't mean to hurt you. It was just a mistake. A mistake, she called it. A calculated act of deception, months in the making, reduced to a single dismissive word. The thing about mistakes, Sarah, is that they're supposed to be made once. You made this mistake multiple times. You did it knowingly, and with intent. And now, I took a step closer, my eyes locking onto hers. You get to live with the consequences. I turned and walked away, leaving her there, a sobbing, broken mess in front of her digital confessional. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I knew that the damage was done. The truth was out, and there was no turning back. I packed a bag, walked out the door, and drove to the airport, a one-way ticket already booked. As the plane took off, I looked down at the city, the lights shimmering below like a discarded toy. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I was just free. I had finally managed to close a painful chapter of my life. As for Sarah, I had a feeling that her hell was just beginning.